How's everyone doing this evening? We survived the nothing.
Nothing. Hence why Ryan Hall didn't go live. So I don't care if he claims that due to internet issues. I think it
I
was
don't know
due
if he claimed
to.
anything.
Oh yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
thought
I don't
Mom
know.
was saying something.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
I just saw that he didn't go live and there wasn't a whole lot going on
Yeah,
and nothing
he
happened.
kept pushing it back. It was like 2 o'clock. Well, it might have been 1 o'clock, but then it went 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then
Right.
no live stream at all.
Yep, nothing happened. We did get a shelter in place
Mm-hmm.
alarm at 2. But we did get an enormous amount of rain. But once again, God is good. We weathered the
Yep.
storm, and so we're here. We're in our bunker. Whoa!
Oh,
Oh,
there we go. Haha.
sorry about that. That was the echo. Audio sounds great,
It does.
and we're really excited to bring you an update on Amos Miller.
Yes. So you want to give him some background?
So we'll give
on
you a
that?
little backstory. If
Backstory.
you're not familiar with the Amos Miller case, Amos Miller is an Amish organic farmer in Pennsylvania, and the USDA kind of wanted to make a public example of him. And so there was some allegations brought against him about somebody dying from some milk in Florida, and that is a completely fabricated tale with no evidence whatsoever. So, supposedly all of this altercation happened with Amos because of this incident where somebody died. The
Did
person,
it end up being like cancer or something?
yeah, the person
Yeah.
that died of cancer, and
I'm
not
not
that,
laughing because the person died.
right?
But
Yeah,
no, I'm
yeah.
just yeah.
No, it's
This is
just
just how
we
things
we
work.
laugh at the way government does
Yeah.
things because
Yeah.
our government is an absolute joke, and the way they do
Shame the
everything is a
beast.
joke, and they exist to harass and harangue people, and
Yep.
so it's a super joke. But yeah, so there was nobody died from his
No.
raw milk or anything like that. That's silly, and it didn't even happen, and nobody even allegated that it happened. It's just all a straw man. So, that being said, he was being fined heavily. Some of his meat is actually sequestered in different things where he can't sell it. So, he's in this gigantic conundrum with the powers that shouldn't be, and it's massively, affecting him. It's affecting his ability to run his business. He's got a market share with 4,000 customers. So, and this is all
That's nuts.
it's kind of like a CSA is what he has there, and he's got all happy customers, and the government is prohibiting him from functioning. And the larger overarching issue is when it comes to food and precedents and law and regulation is that these kind of decisions not just affect our food sources like a high quality organic source for Amos and his 4,000 customers. Just like if I was purchasing my food here locally from an organic source and, it got impeded and interrupted by the government, I wouldn't want that to happen, nor would we want that to happen to anybody else. But secondarily, these case laws always end up affecting the individual grower, as well as creating additional hoops and things to jump through and go around and dive under and duck over and all these different things. So that's why these topics are. That's why this topic is very important, and it's really kind of neat and exciting because, in large part, what got Amos the most attention was social media, and was probably Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. Doug was
Yeah.
the first one that I can see that made a video about it. It drew a lot of attention to it.
A couple million views.
And then other YouTubers picked it up.
Yeah.
Rebel News picked it up. Petition went up. And then what happened about a month ago is the social media kind of attorney with Viva Fry, Robert Barnes,
Hmm.
picked up Amos Miller's case, and this is the update that we want to bring y'all.
Alrighty, here we go.
There is an update in the Amos Miller Amish farmer case. For those that don't know, this is the Amish farmer that makes meat the way his customers want it. Right? They don't want USDA inspected meat. They don't want a bunch of chemicals and preservatives and all that crap on it. They don't want big corporate agriculture dictating them. The U.S.
Hormones and
Department of Agriculture.
antibiotics.
Say again.
I say hormones and antibiotics are the big ones
They don't want any of that nonsense. What they want is, here's an Amish community that, on average, the Amish live longer and live better than the average person in the communities that surround them. Their life expectancy consistently better. They have fewer medical ailments and injuries and problems and psychological issues than their local community. So it seems to me like they're doing something right. So but there's people that some of them for medical disability reasons require the food be made the way in which Amos Miller's farm makes it. There's others that, as a personal choice, they want it that way. Amos doesn't sell any food to anybody that doesn't want it exactly how he's making it. He's never mislabeled anything. He's never adulterated anything. He's never been accused of doing that for any willing, consenting customer.
And I think the most important thing is, if you're shopping at Amos's place, you're not doing it by accident. It's not like you're buying it off a shelf and don't know.
He's telling you, he's not putting USDA inspected label on his thing. He's not selling it to the local grocery store. He's not saying it has preservatives and chemicals that it doesn't have. He does none of that. He sells to people who say, Amos, we want it made exactly the way you make it, which is without all these chemicals, without all these preservatives, without all this crap, made in a way that promotes organic farming, a farming that has been a tradition within the Amish community for centuries. And the U.S. government came in, and years ago, the U.S. Department of Agriculture was given the power to, again, protect informed consent. It goes back to that principle. The goal being that, because what was happening in 1900s was that you'd go to the store and you'd buy something that said kidney beans, and inside was green beans. Inside was mash. Inside was, Spam. So, it was that bad. So in order to prevent that, they said, well, we're going to create a labeling agency that says if you sell in interstate commerce, when you label on it, what's in there has to be what's on the label. This is also how the FDA started. And it's actually their whole authority. That if somebody's selling medicine, what's actually in that medicine has to be represented on the outside of the label. That's what just as the FDA was not given the authority to govern medicine, and most of them have no clue. Many of them are not doctors at all. The USDA was never given the power to control food. They were only given the power to control labeling. And many of the bureaucrats at the US FDA, at the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, they're not farmers. Many of them have zero experience farming. They have no idea what they're doing. And yet they're running around telling farmers how to farm. What they're supposed to be doing is just checking the label. So they come after Amos. They come after him aggressively over multiple years. And he retained me a month or so ago.
Well, hold on. Stop there. Because he retained you after having gotten fined $250,000.
There's a whole host of issues. The reason why he retained me is next Friday, what was scheduled to occur on December 16th was Amos Miller going to jail, being jailed. A judgment of over $300,000, monetary judgment being issued against both him and his wife and his farm, which they could immediately collect upon, which could shut down his farm while he's jailed. Mm-hmm. And there's a bunch of arrested meat that he couldn't do anything with in the interim. Meat that had been seized because it didn't comply with USDA's definition of what's a good meat. They call it adulterated if it doesn't fit their standard. In my view, that's a complete misapplication of the term. Adulteration is supposed to be me lying to the public about what's in the meat, not I don't do it the way the U.S. Department of Agriculture likes me to do it. That's a misapplication of the word and the label. But it's what happens. You give them a little bit of a creak at open that door. They want to come in and they want to control now what you can put in your own body. Because this case is fundamentally not only about preventing Amos Miller from farming the way his religious community traditionally farms, it's also about ordinary people getting to decide what I put in my body. I don't want USDA nonsense. I want something that's not USDA controlled. In the century or so since the USDA is involved, including the food pyramid over the last half century, people have gotten fatter and sicker and fatter and sicker and fatter and sicker. The USDA is an embarrassment of an agency, and an honest government would just eradicate it, period. That's my view of the USDA. They have failed their test to protect public health. They have made our public health worse over and over and over again. It's why so many people want Amos Miller style produced food. It's healthier. That's why. Because, and not just control, they're better, more informed than the average USDA bureaucrat is. So there's USDA USDA employees who also attest to this, by the way, or publicly attesting to this. So the goal was, there's a short-term, mid-term, and long-term perspective on the case. From Amos's perspective, it was to remove the guillotine of going to jail, and I found that absurd and outrageous. Number one. Number two, remove this big monetary judgment from being issued that could bankrupt his farm. And number three, reduce the amount overall while getting some release of this arrested food so his farm can survive economically while we negotiate a more intermediate solution. Because the U.S. Attorney's Office has been very fair in Pennsylvania and says they only want to promote the same understanding as I have of the law, which is just to make sure people are getting what they want to get within the law. And I don't trust that the USDA has the same motivations in the case, but we'll find out in time. So, but the intermediate solution is to be able to keep the farm afloat and alive and people be able to get the product they want. Long-term solution is to build a custom exception plan that allows people to get the food they want and farmers to make it the way they want without the government overseeing all of it and limiting what they do. And in fact, there's a custom exception plan written into the law to accommodate that, including that they really don't have the authority to govern, in my view, personal food consumption, period. But there's people at the USDA who are asserting they do have that right, by the way. They're trying to say, if you go fishing, Viva, and you bring that fish home, you better go get USDA approval before you eat it or feed it to your kids. That's the level of insanity of some of these USDA people. Well, we did reach a settlement on the short-term issues. The contempt hearing will not take place next Friday. It has all been put in stay in abeyance. There's going to be no monetary judgment of some big amount. There's a reasonable payment plan on some of the much more modest amounts that can be paid over many months. And there's going to be no jail. So Amos and the arrested food is going to be released in a way that Amos can make productive use of it. Mm-hmm. And so the short-term issues have been resolved. We're still in the intermediary solutions and the long-term solutions. And I'm talking to people that are outside of the Amos camp who want to address a lot of these issues from a constitutional perspective and a legal perspective more broadly. But for Amos, at least he'll be able to have Thanksgiving and he'll be able to have Christmas at home, not in jail, and the farm won't be facing imminent bankruptcy.
And it's not, there will not be wasted stock. There won't be wasted meats.
Correct. The food will go to productive use in a way that's now been approved of, that was arrested, and some of it been sitting there for a while in the freezers. And
so, I mean, the government's getting some payment over time. I don't know if I should ask.
The U.S. Attorney's Office has been pretty fair and impartial about this, and the hurdle, frankly, is consistently the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So we'll see how they go along forward. I'm hopeful that we'll get resolutions so that Amos can get done what he needs to get done, and the people that want Amos's food the way Amos makes it can get it as such. And some of those folks may need to start bringing suits to clarify this in a range of jurisdictions, in other contexts, independent of and separate from Amos's case. Because this is about, we should have, but also I think it's a call for legislative reform. Amos Miller's case and aspects of it show they got to change the laws, remove the U.S. Department of Agriculture from controlling food supply, period. They should be in the labeling and marketing business, not the food governance business. And at a minimum, it should be made crystal clear in the law that no government regulation shall be interpreted to limit what a person puts in their own body under informed consent. That you have a right to dictate, just as you have a right to farm, in my view, which is being established in more states. We need to establish that you have a right of bodily autonomy, means not only a right to what medicines go in your body, but a right of what food goes into your body.
It's fantastic. I mean, it sounds like all around victory temporarily. What would the longer term solution would be? What that the USDA says
to have a custom exception plan that affirms what the law is supposed to be about. The law is supposed to be about informed consent. So and just make that clear, right? Make sure all the labels are correct. Make sure the only people that are purchasing it are people that know exactly what they're purchasing. Make sure it's not publicly available for sale, and such that somebody could buy it that doesn't know what they're purchasing. It's all about informed consent. Let's get the law back to that and have a custom plan that conforms to that. But the reality is, people want Amos's food. I mean, no one's ever sued Amos for anything wrong with his food ever.
But Robert, they said someone got sick and died 4 years ago related.
That person
to his
didn't
food.
sue him, and they couldn't connect it to Amos. That had nothing to do with Amos.
But it's so preposterous because the amount of recalls that you get from major manufacturers who are, okay, well that's fantastic. I won't ask the quantum, but there was a lot of it's good, and staying in business is even better.
The amounts is like 30,000, and then there's a 25,000 or so, and 25,000 paid over about a 6-month time period.
Is it without admission? What is the basis of those payments?
None of that. Okay. It's basically remove all the imminent risk, and let's get back to a solution that works long term. And the U.S. Attorney has been very fair about it, so I have no complaints there whatsoever. I don't trust the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
All right, y'all. So there you go. There's your update. And Barnes doesn't trust the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and
which is good.
We don't trust the U.S. Department of anything. Usually the U.S. Department of something or other is just some technocrat that has no concept of how to do anything, just desiring to tell you how to do something the wrong way that would injure you in some way or hurt you in some way, or change your the way that you were genetically created in some way. So,
well, Amos definitely had the cards stacked against him pretty much because they picked him, or an Amish farmer, because they thought he was going to be a super easy target, right? Is that why they picked him, you think?
It's very similar to if you ever watch any of these guys that audit police officers. You know, just recently there was this fella in Virginia, and this cop pulled him over for flashing his lights. And said, "Hey, you can't do that. That's against the law." And it was totally fabricated. And the 100%. Guy was very cordial to him, and he worked with the officer, provided him with documentation. And then as the officer was giving him a ticket, the guy just casually laughed quietly, you know, like, and the officer arrested him for laughing.
Ripped him out, cuffed him, and then decided to uncuff him and then let him go.
But this is very, you know, it all amounts to power trips. Predominantly, it amounts to power trips by singular individuals, which is why they have way too much power. There's no checks and balances.
Too much power.
There's nothing keeping their power in check, so they're incredibly abusive of their power. But here's the reality. You know, scriptures talk about this, because judgment against the evil work is not executed speedily. Talks about the hearts and the minds of men being fully set in them to do evil. And when you see the, you know, and here in America, we have this supposedly representative, you know, we supposedly vote for those that rule over us and all that good stuff, and it's supposed to be of, by, and for the people. And, you know, these are our elected representation, these people that are supposed to represent us, but none of them represent any of us, and they all do as they do, but they
do as they please,
do as they say. You know, it's rules for thee and not for me. And there's the aristocracy, and there's a hierarchy, and there's the technocracy, and there's the oligarchy, and then there is all of this crony capitalism, and this, you know, this uniparty and this duopoly kind of thing going on here in America. And when these baby tyrants in these little factions of this, like USDA, when they see what the big drug lords and the big kingpins and the overlords and what they do and what they get away with, they were like, well, I can do that. I can do it on a smaller level. But that's how this stuff continues to propagate and purvey. And other than the fact also that internally all of those systems are just based upon deceit and lies and hate and lies and just overall most of those people are relatively useless and incompetent, like it says that those that can't do teach and those that can't teach gym class. It's like one of those concepts of, like the building inspector was usually like a failed contractor or something. So now he wants to take it out on all the real contractors or something like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that philosophy and concept. And think about it. Like as a building inspector, right? You make $40,000-$60,000 a year or whatever. Now, if you're an accomplished contractor, you'd make like $400,000, $1 million a year, right? But instead, you're the guy with all the juice, but you only make 40 or 60 grand a year because you're not that good. Because if you were that good, you wouldn't be the building inspector.
It's true.
You know what I mean? But you trade your fortune for this minuscule amount of power that you can just, that's what you get your joy out of, is just like making sure that all the...
So you're saying it's kind of the same with the police force and stuff like that?
I'm saying it's very similar. And hey, look, it didn't used to be this way, y'all.
There's still good police officers out there.
There are still small pockets of good police officers out there.
Very small.
And they're becoming fewer and fewer. And it's sad. And it's because... You know why? It's because the general population, they're just a cross section of the general population. And that's the way the general population is becoming just more, and we've had lots of psychological operations performed against us in the last couple of years, and it's affecting people's
big time
psyche too. So
like,
you
you're
can't
like
blame everything
in your yard, and then you see somebody like driving down a little country road with a mask on, and you're like, dude, it's been 2 years and you still have a mask on, all by yourself in a pickup truck, driving down the road, like a little country road.
And do you know what kind of damage you're doing to yourself with that thing?
Mentally and physically.
But it's the same thing. But yeah, people have experienced trauma, so I try to take it easy on it. But this is great news. This is great news for Amos Miller. Yep. This is great news for anybody that wants to grow their own food.
Yeah.
It's just great news in general of the impact, the positive impact that social media and shining the light on something and how you can positively impact it, and how the power of networking through social media was how these dots were even connected, and how Amos met Barnes and all these different things and made that all happen.
Yeah.
Because the Amish community, they're cloistered, they're internal, and they don't, and here's the other thing about the Amish. There's all different kinds of Amish, all different kinds that do things all different ways. And there's these people that make these weird, blanket statements about the Amish, and you don't know, and they're all different, and they're not as great as you think they are, and whatever. They're human beings, and they're all different. You know what I mean? So
they're no better than us Americans, which we're the same people as them. So I mean,
whatever. Well, yeah. So that's some unmitigated good news.
Real quick,
it's encouraging to
just wanted to let y'all know that the Food Force in the Box are now available. So let me show y'all. Pop that up real quick. For those that have ordered, we are still waiting on the labels actually right now.
Yeah, they were due in today. Yeah.
They were supposedly going to come in today, but they didn't come in. So Food Force in the Box, you can start your own Food 401k, start investing into your own dirt and investing into your future with the Food Force box. That comes with 3 fig cuttings, 3 blackberry cuttings, 3 Texas peach cuttings, 3 Phoenix goji berry cuttings, and 3 black mulberry cuttings. And we've had really good success with all of these different types of trees, and we absolutely love them. And I think we're on a couple of them are on their 3rd year or so, so they're going to be all what would you call that? They're all mature trees.
Correct.
So Lord willing, you should have some pretty good stinking success with them. Also, new shirt of the day. Just wanted to show you all this real quick. New shirt of the day, or the week, or the month. No matter what, God is good. I made the shirt because we sat down and we were having kind of a Bible study and everything like that, and we were talking about how people will say, "Oh, whatever, they're getting tested if they had cancer or not," and then it comes back that they didn't have cancer or whatever, fill in the blank, and then they're like, "Oh, God is so good," and that's true. But even if you did get cancer or whatever, tornado hit your house, He's still good.
Yeah. That's
so I felt kind of touched, and I was like, oh, I think that would be a good T-shirt. So I'm gonna be ordering.
It's a great T-shirt.
I'm gonna be ordering myself that T-shirt, but just wanted to put that on the website for any of those that are interested. No matter what, God is good. So anyway, y'all, I think that be it.
That's all for now. You got anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's it. So all the rest of the fam is away in a hotel.
Yep, they're at tornado vacation.
Yeah. So they all got super weirded out, I don't even think they checked the radar. I checked the radar. I'm like, it doesn't look swirly or bad.
I think someone got it in their mind that they were going to go to an indoor swimming pool.
I think a lot of them. I think all the little ones and James and Buddy got it in their head. Like hot tub and heated swimming pool?
Yeah.
That sounds good. For a night? Yeah, why not?
That's exactly what I think.
And I was like, hotel room.
Hey, Doug's on.
Doug from who?
Doug from Off Grid with Doug and Stacy.
No way. Oh, my word.
I don't know if you we were just appreciating the fact that you were putting out the information.
We started it off. We're like, just imagine if Doug wanted to made his video that got like 2+ million views. Like,
yeah, we're just doing an update on Amos, and just appreciate all the information y'all put out there. We appreciate the yeoman's work and the effort. We understand that the type of effort that goes into this, and the consistency and the time and the sacrifice that goes into it, and we appreciate it. We appreciate what you're doing.
We're still fighting through the shadow ban. The 18th, be kind of, I guess, praying about this, y'all, because if we can survive to the 18th, this channel will at least have only one strike.
Right, so we don't have to worry about getting vaped.
So the 18th,
per se.
And like every day that goes by, we kind of get a little bit more views, and the subscribers stop dropping off as fast. Like today, we only lost like a couple subscribers instead of like 70 or 100.
So let's see if we can stop the drop
before we go to 96, because
000.
then we will officially have lost 1,000 subscribers, while they flog us pretty much in the town square of YouTube. So slowly and painfully. So I think that's it, y'all.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us, Joe.
Yeah,
we
thank
appreciate
you so much.
Appreciate your
And
time.
it was kind of funny. We should probably say this. We were scrambling kind of tonight. We were like, what are we going to talk about? It was kind of weird. There's a lot of dead air today.
It's
kind of creepy.
For someone that is kind of tries to stay up to date on things.
It was like, what even happened today?
There's lots of weird dead swirl
air
going on, and then there's some recycled Sam Bankman-Fried, and then he's being brought in. There's just a lot of really weird.
Is it a good thing, you think?
It's never a good thing.
You're like, is this a good thing? And then you're like, oh, wait, this is the calm before the storm.
Yeah,
type of deal. So, man, oh, man. So thank you to all the mods, Carlos, Squatchy, Curly Q.
Thank you guys for
I think that
controlling the helm. But I don't think we've had any trolls on tonight, so that's great.
So that was a big blessing. We'll say that, and they'll all get on. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you to Doug and Stacy for jumping on the stream. I think that was the first time they've been on a stream.
Yeah, in a while.
But anyway, y'all.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all.